Hello and welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. I'm Tim Hayes. I am your host for the first hour. Welcome to Mind Shifters Radio. Today is Friday, October 10th, 2025. As always, we're grateful to everyone who's joining us here today, whether you're listening live or through the archives, as we spend another couple of hours teaching and supporting people in using some of the most powerful, effective, efficient, and accessible tools I've ever encountered. You can access them free at whyagain.org. If you go to that website and click on the two words that say Start Here in the upper left-hand corner, it will take you to a page where you can download and read Chapter 24 of Dr. Michael Ryce's book. The book is titled, Why Is This Happening to Me Again? And that chapter of the book contains a narrative description and explanation of the primary tool in this work. The tool is called the Reality Management Worksheet, sometimes called the Reality Management Wake-Up Sheet. It's a tool I've been using to great effect for over 21 years to improve the quality of my life and most of my relationships, and to turn any negative emotional experience I have into part of the infallible guidance system that each and every one of us has been given. You can also download the actual worksheet process itself. It's a simple PDF file. Click the link, download it, print it off, copy it as often as you'd like, and use it over and over again absolutely free. You can also download a whole host of audio files from that page of shows just like this one where people have been stepped through that worksheet process. And if you choose to listen to them, even repeatedly, they can serve as a powerful tutorial for you to help you get maximum benefit from these tools in the shortest amount of time possible. You can also go to your app store and type in the three words, HeartLand Aramaic Forgiveness. And if you choose to do that, before you're done typing the word forgiveness, you'll see the glowing heart icon. If you tap on it, it will let you download a completely free and private app that contains the Reality Management Worksheet. It contains an abbreviated version of the worksheet process, and it contains a copy of the Dragon Klingon game, which is a wonderful way to introduce these tools to even younger audiences. And we hope people do all of that soon and often, primarily because it tends to improve the quality of people's lives the more they actively do that and then apply the tools. And it also tends to prompt comments, questions, answers, and testimonials. If you have any of those to share with us, please do so. You can email me at tjh@mindshifters-academy.org, or you can email Jeannie at jeanie@whyagain.org. That's whyagain.org. If we get a question or a comment from you, we'll address it on the internet show, and then as time allows, send you a notification about what day and time that occurred, so you can listen back to the archives for your feedback or input. We greatly appreciate whenever anybody does that, because it makes it infinitely easier for us to live into our intention with this work, which is to be of service. And of course, there's always the possibility that you join us live. Most weekdays, we're here from 11 to noon Central Time. You can go to zoom.us, and once there, you're looking for the meeting ID number that will allow you to participate live, listen in. The particular meeting ID for this first hour is 853-2357-4173. That's 853-2357-4173. If you call in to Zoom through a phone, then you'll be automatically muted, and the way to unmute yourself is *6. And then as long as you're on the call, you can either mute and unmute yourself in a toggle situation by hitting *6. And we hope you do that. We hope you will let us know what your thoughts are, let us know what your needs are, let us know what your hopes are, open a discussion, suggest a topic. We had our support group last night, and it went. I've had a rather emotional roller coaster of a morning. I've got I was actively working in my last session to do the kind of relaxing breaths that I coach people to do when they are agitated or anxious or feeling stuck. And it was one of those high intensity sessions where each time I was prompted to remind the person in the room with me to take a breath and center, it was because I remembered all of a sudden, oh, I'm not exactly breathing in a calm, relaxed way here. And right before that session began, the widow of the gentleman who for 34 years has been an acquaintance of mine and for the past 25 has rented office space from us, she showed up to clean out his office and replay the story of his passing. And so lots of emotions up, lots of situations are being brought to my attention where the situation isn't so loving and respectful, and the people experiencing it are complaining, but rationalizing staying in the situation and rationalizing continuing the behaviors that they've been doing for months or years. And that puts me in mind of Alan Watts. I was doing some more listening and reading to Alan Watts this morning, and he was talking about this whole idea of dying to oneself and enlightenment. What is enlightenment? And how enlightenment is not a destination. It's a moment-to-moment process of observation and openness and release and surrender to the flow of life. And that all my thoughts about me that I want to carry with me into enlightenment, I can't go there. Thoughts can't go there. That part of me can't go there. That's not what enlightenment's about. Enlightenment is in this present moment, the realization that all those thoughts I have about me aren't the truth of me. And what I open myself to allow to come in and replace that can't be spoken of in words.
Dr. Tim?
Yes.
I think I listened to the same video that you're talking about. Phenomenal, helpful video.
By Alan Watts, you mean?
Yeah. I think the most amazing thing is he's not trying to get us to get rid of anything, but just be aware of it, watch.
Exactly, because what we want, what we say we want, and this conscious logical mind that we use to get most everything else we want in life can't take us there.
Mm-hmm. You know, this is what he's undoing is he's undoing a lot of the kind of thinking that I grew up on in the 60s. Enlightenment, this amazing state of bliss that once you're there, it never goes away, and you're feeling great love, and you understand and feel that you're loved, and nothing disturbs. And I always thought, oh my God, that's a tall order.
And
And
that's
he's
where we should be. And because I'm not there, there's something wrong with me, all that stuff.
all that stuff. So listen to him is like being told that you're all right just the way you are, and yet think about these things, be open to these things. He's got Jung right built in with the shadow work. He's saying, watch the shadow, use it. It's a useful thing. I mean, the ego, the darker side of the ego, or the ego altogether, doesn't matter which.
Yeah, but look at, instead of the darker side of the ego,
Mm-hmm.
just do one of two things there. When you say the phrase darker side of the ego, instead of leaving it out there as like some nefarious,
Right.
evil thing,
Yeah.
just say it's the part of my thought structure about myself that I won't look directly at or that I haven't yet seen clearly. It's just, darkness is just the absence of light. It's not some big evil force, at least in these teachings, right?
Mm-hmm.
So either do that or just say, look, there's no dark side of an ego. It's just a tool. It's not like there's a dark side to the hammer. It's not like you say, hey, you know what? Here's this hammer, and it's only been used to hammer in nails and build things. And here's this hammer over here, and we've used it to kill X, Y, or Z person or snakes or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's a dark hammer. No, it's just a hammer.
Yeah.
Your ego is not, there's a dark side to your ego. There's just your ego. And if it's misapplied, then you get results that you don't really enjoy or want.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, I'm glad you're talking about that video. I could look and see in my history where, if I can find it, because it would be.
Well, it could be any number of videos he has, right? Because they're all, it's like Guy Finley. Pick up any Guy Finley book and you're going to read the same basic message as any other Guy Finley book. Listen to any of his lectures and you're going to hear talk about the same thing. We were at the intensive, the talks in the Pines in August, and one of the people there said, tongue in cheek, that, there's 1,001 ways for Guy to say the same thing in his different talks. But it's the same talk, always 1,001 different ways.
Well, this particular way, is it the one that was titled "The Dark Side of Spiritual Awakening"?
Let me see. Because I wasn't just listening to that, I was also reading from the Kindle version of his book titled "The Wisdom of Insecurity,"
Oh, that's a
which was it's bizarre because there's this long introduction by Deepak Chopra. What a wordy guy he can be. And this book was published back in 51 and then probably republished in 79. The intro by Deepak Chopra is from 2011. But so, this book, 1951, The Wisdom of Insecurity, a message for, get this, a message for an age of anxiety. When? 1951.
Right.
Doesn't it sound like 2025?
It does. Yeah.
So part of what I was making comments about was coming from that book, and part of it from one of the videos that I had watched. And
I just put the link to that one in the chat if anybody wants to listen.
Okay, the one that I was listening to this morning was Why Most People Never Survive Their Spiritual Awakening.
Oh, I saw that title. Oh, yeah.
And there, what he's saying is not he's very clear. He's not saying it's not that your physical body doesn't survive your spiritual awakening. It's that the self that you think you are has to die.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he goes into, what was meant when they were talking about dying to the self. And in order to live, you have to die. That quote from Yeshua.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So someone, that Susan Bingham, you put a link in the chat.
Yeah, that was the one I had listened to. Alan Watts.
And this was
Uh,
powerful for you.
yeah, but it was very similar to what you've been saying. So yes, they probably all say similar things. Sometimes the way it's said gets in.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's in part because of the way it's said, and in part because it's the space I'm in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's no two ways about it. The session I just had with somebody, for better or worse, was strongly impacted in different ways, subtly, by the fact that right before that session, I was clearing out the office of a deceased friend
Yeah.
and talking to his widow, who was on the verge of tears through the entire conversation.
Mm.
Well, it's not separate, right? So he might have come in on a different day and said the same things and gotten very different responses from me.
Mm-hmm.
And any of those responses can be good and useful to him depending upon how they land for him and what he's able to receive and what he wants to do with it. But um, they aren't separate, right? I mean, I bring myself into each session. I bring who I am as a person and what's going on for me in my life into each Mind Shifters radio show hour like this. You bring yourself, and you are not the same person who listened to the last Alan Watts interview or read the
Mm-hmm.
last book.
Totally true. Shapeshifters.
Yeah, I've been in this field long enough to know, you know, probably it probably wasn't more than 4 or 5 years into doing therapy that I had people say to me, "Oh my gosh, I got more out of this one session with you than I have in, all these other therapists I've seen or all these years in therapy or whatever." And I used to get a really good warm feeling about that, thinking, "Oh, I did a great job," or "Oh, I've got some real powerful tools here," etc.
Mm-hmm.
I've been around long enough to know that that's not what happens.
Yeah.
I've been around long enough to know that if somebody tells me they had 7 years of therapy and they didn't get as much out of that 7 years of therapy as they did 1 or 2 sessions with me, what I know is how they live their life, what their life events were, probably lots of stuff that happened in therapy, prepped them to be able to make the changes they made in their internal experience in my session with them.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't make the session. There's no
Mm.
magic, powerful. You might remember me telling the story. We had a woman who came to the in-person Tuesday support group a number of years ago, lots of years ago now. And she came and she sat and she was quiet and she didn't talk much unless she wanted to complain about something or say, "That's not what I learned in the past," but she didn't do any worksheets.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I ran my support groups, that was just perfectly okay. I mean, I'm not here to tell people that they have to do worksheets or they can't come to group or that whatever.
Mm.
So probably 2.5 or 3 years into her coming most Tuesdays to this group and meeting in person, she came and she was just wrecked emotionally from the beginning of the session. So we offered her the support to do a worksheet. Well, she couldn't get there. We had to do EFT tapping, and we had to do some breath work, and then she got to where she could do a worksheet. And she did a worksheet, and she went from, off the charts upset down to smiling and laughing. And one of the things she said was, wow, this is such a powerful tool. Look what that worksheet did. And I just started laughing and said, no, 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 no. The worksheet didn't do anything. And she got upset. What do you mean? I said, that worksheet's been here for 2.5 or 3 years. It's offered. It couldn't do anything. You've been around you sat right next to somebody else doing one, didn't do anything for you. What was powerful was you reached the space where you were willing to use the tool. It's your willingness, your application of mind energy, your willingness to practice the canceling of the goal and keep the body relaxed. That's what's allowing this shift, not the magic of the tool. And I understand that in a felt sense, very real way. I still hear people say this. Oh yeah, after this quantum still point breath, somebody said, I got more out of that than 7 years. And I just know the truth is their life for the past 7 years, whether they were going to therapy or not, contained a lot of things that were contributing to their growth and their life experience and creating the space or the environment in which the huge progress that they've made or the willingness they brought with them allowed this transformation to happen, whether it's in a therapy session with EMDR or NET tapping or a worksheet or the quantum still point. It isn't that there's this magical thing from outside of you that's going to fix you or change you. If I've learned anything at all in the past 50 some years, it's that we do have this ability to say no, and we can shut out the very help that we say we want. We can prevent ourselves from making progress. So if I'm willing, if I'm allowing, if I'm surrendering, if I'm asking to be shown rather than using that tool of the ego to proclaim how much I know or to let myself be seduced by the thoughts that I'm better or worse than somebody else, then it's a misuse of that tool. Does that make sense?
Very much so. It's a little scary because I'm not always willing. I see a tool right in front of me and I don't want to use it. A certain tool, you know which tool.
Yes, I do. And that isn't scary. You could generate fear around it. I encourage you not to. And if there's a part of you that says, I would like to use this tool, or I would like to have the benefits that people say they get from this tool, and then you can't bring yourself to do it, then you can just start asking, okay, why? What am I afraid of? What am I think is going to happen? I can start putting it on a worksheet and exploring the what if.
Well, I have a question.
All right.
You know, I mean, nobody else's hand is, I trust. Okay.
Yep. They'll speak up if they're inclined.
Good. Years ago, we were all talking about John Sarno's book, All the Rage. Maybe that's not the name of the book. That might have been the movie that was made.
Yes, that's his website, All the Rage.
Right. And it made all kinds of sense. I didn't understand how, for instance, a person could have a spine that's in terrible shape, yet they're moving around without pain, whereas a person can come in with a lot of pain, but the x-ray doesn't show a problem in the spine. So what he taught is that we have emotions that can cause pain in the body. The body can talk. There's another book you mentioned, The Body Knows the Truth, or something like that. That's out. I've never read it, but you've mentioned it before.
So there are two of them. One of them is from Babette Rothschild from decades ago, The Body Remembers.
Oh, yeah.
And the more modern day one from a few years ago is Bessel van der Kolk, who wrote the book The Body Keeps the Score.
Oh, that's the one I heard you mention more often. Yeah. So Michael has challenged me to investigate hip pain, because if I did that, I wouldn't need to have an operation. And I'm going in very soon to have a consult with a hip replacement doctor. And I'm well aware that I'm not doing that work. Not that I want to have an operation and all the stuff that goes on afterwards, pain and limited motion and possible injury because I tend to do too much after something like that, all that. And I've talked to my hip talks to me, and I don't get much information though. And this came on very fast. So there are just lots of questions, and I feel as if I am sort of fighting upstream, not really knowing what to do, but in my culture, the thing to do would go to the doctor and get fixed. And I don't feel as if I have a lot of time to make that decision because my activities are curbed and my teaching is half of it I'm sitting in a chair. Well, that isn't going to go on for long, not if I have anything to do with it. But, all these questions come up. And I feel as if I am in some, at least confusion, if not resistance. So how that fits in with Alan Watts, I haven't fitted it in yet.
Yeah, it's a big challenge, especially for people that are trying to live. Basically, I got the image of you're trying to live with a foot in the boat and one on the dock.
Mm-hmm. That's
Or
the way it feels.
or they I think the phrase had something to do with a foot in two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And all I can tell you from that is that all of these deep teachings point towards it's all going to be okay. It's going to work out one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And more important, perhaps, than any single decision I make is my willingness to stay loving and open and ask moment to moment what's mine to do here, and then go on with my life as often as possible, focusing on the gratitude for the gift of life itself. So what would it take for you to either find somebody that does a functional medicine approach or orthobionomy or a functional medicine trained physical therapist, chiropractor type person, and have them assist you with either the physical manipulations necessary to help bring about change in the comfort level of your hip, or the mental, emotional, spiritual work that helps you identify and release whatever is stuck.
Yeah.
Either there in your hip or somewhere else in your body that's reflecting in your hip.
The functional medicine, chiropractic, acupuncture, massage, physical therapy, I've done all those. I've been able to teach my classes, but it's been a workaround. Now it's like it's a roadblock. So I feel as if I've done those. But the other part, what you say, looking into the more spiritual, mental, emotional part. I haven't done enough on, I guess. And I don't have much faith that it'll do any good. That's where I'm
Well,
at.
that's why you haven't done it, right? What came first, the chicken or the egg? It doesn't. You can debate that for as long as you want, but it doesn't matter. They're both here. So, if you wanted to have faith, what's the old saying? If you had faith even as a mustard seed, which is one of the tiniest of seeds, then all these things are possible. And the bottom line is it's okay, right?
I like to hear that.
Well, in these spiritual, I love the line I heard the guy Finley say one time in the middle of a talk. He said, "There's nothing worse than talking to spiritual people, right? Because they know the answer, they're jumping ahead, they think they know what you're going to say, they think they know it all, they think they're better than other people, and so when you start talking to people like this and they think they've had a great healing and they want to share with you what they did to get healing and you should do this because it works for me or it works for the other people, and it gets really contentious and negative. And isn't the core of what we're doing supposed to be focusing on the positive that's here in, as, through, and around us, and that we've created some blockages or some roadblocks to our being able to see it and feel it? Isn't that the core of these teachings, that you're whole and complete just as you are, and you're not going to get judged when you get to heaven as having to go to hell or purgatory, or the way of mastery says this way is about letting go of every inclination to be special and every need to be seen as having made progress, so that you're making it, you're going to earn your way into heaven or whatever, the good graces of whatever deity that you're in pursuit of, their favor. Isn't all these teachings say, don't worry about that stuff. Just watch for the negativity and release it. See it as false and breathe and soften. Be playful, be light, enjoy the gift of life. Enjoy whatever you can find to enjoy.
That's all true. And I feel as if I'm doing that too. Even this, I have two buddies at church. We joke, let's all three of us go to the hospital at once, get our hip replacements or our knee replacements all in a row, and let's just enjoy each other's company while we do it. Both of them we're all the same age, and their philosophy is, I'm just going to limp. I'm going to stay this way because how much longer do I have to live? I don't know if I want to go through an operation. I'd rather use a cane. Both of them are saying that. And I'm not saying it.
Okay. So bless your heart and bless their hearts.
Yeah.
Who's right? Who's
I
right
know.
in that?
They are right. I feel
who's wrong in that?
Wisdom there.
No, nobody's right. Nobody's wrong. It's just maybe right for them. It may not be right for you. Part of one of our biggest challenges, as we talk about on a fairly regular basis in this work and this program, is that we're living in a culture that believes there's right, there's wrong, there's good, there's bad, there's a battle going on, and the vast majority of our suffering on this planet has been traced by these great spiritual teachings back to the decision to try to judge, to label, to eat of the fruit from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And our problems began there, and our solution rests in releasing those judgments, not revering them, not praising people for making certain judgments over others, etc. Our release comes through release, not from clinging. seems ridiculous to even have to make a statement like that. Our release comes from releasing, not from clinging. And I mean here, clinging to what I think I know, clinging to what I believe, clinging to what my God has shown me or my principles demand.
Mm-hmm.
Our release comes from our choice to release. We are released from the prison we have created when we stop believing the lies that keep us imprisoned. And as far as I know, there's no other way to do that. As far as I know, no one's ever going to show up on my doorstep with a magic wand and fix all my ills.
Mm.
So please, whether you choose to have the surgery or not, just be loving and gentle with yourself. And if somebody else wants to generate upset or sadness or frustration because you won't go do their bag of tricks or their technique just let them have their life and bless them and see them as just another soul, just like you. Nobody's got all the answers. As far as I can tell, nobody who's alive on the planet now has any answers that are going to matter 1,000 years from now, except the ones that come from these teachings that have been around for thousands of years, that are not tied to a religion. They're not tied to a political party. They're not tied to a gender. You remember the old adage, don't sweat the little things, and oh, by the way, they're all little things?
Right, and that's true.
Have you ever considered yourself to be a peacemaker or a pleaser, people pleaser?
Oh, yeah. Why do you ask? You know.
Yes, I do. I'm just bringing your attention to that. That set of traits will only create upset and tension and disruption in your life, especially at times like this. If you have people in Tennessee and Ohio and Michigan and California and Sweden, and you have people all over the globe who think, oh, don't go get a hip replacement. Oh, stay true to the spiritual teachings and it'll all heal. And you go ahead and do your thing. What they do with their emotions and their upset and their joy and their sending loving thoughts is on them. It's not on you. It's not on you to control it. It's not on you to deal with it, unless you decide that that's what you want to focus your mind energy on. But I strongly recommend you keep your attention focused at home, inside yourself, where the decision making needs to happen, where the healing will happen, and be gentle and loving with yourself. I just had a striking example recently in my office of a person who's literally making their life miserable. And the rationale they have for it is to please these other people, or to at least abide by what these other people tell them they better do or else.
Mm.
You follow what I'm saying there?
I do. Well, I should tell you one example I have, a woman I admire very much. She's probably in her early 60s. She was born with a genetic condition where her joints would need replacing. You know, shoulders, hips, and knees. And as the trouble started, and she was in her 20s, she got this therapy and surgery and that surgery. I call her my bionic friend because everything that moves has been replaced. She's a mother of 4 kids, a grandmother of I don't know how many kids, works in the refugee center with the volunteers, the most wonderful person. And she's moving around just fine. And she said to me, go do it. Go do it. It's a great operation. You'll be laid up for a while. You won't like it, but it'll turn out good. So she's kind of a mentor in all of this. There's the other side.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I'm on because I'm in the car and it's kind of noisy. I just wanted to make sure the sound is okay.
It's good. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, this is perfect timing because I actually wanted to call in about this months and months ago when Susan was talking about her hip pain. So I believe that there's an emotional component to every disease process. It may not be the whole story, but it's part of it. I'm not positive, but I think Michael is on board with that same idea. So I had already sent Susan a link to 2 books that give you a sort of a roadmap of what the emotion or upset, if you want to use that word, is that's related to a particular physical symptom. One of them is extremely detailed. It's 722 pages, and it's called Messages from the Body by Michael J. Lincoln. That's one area to explore. I will say that everybody I know that's had a hip replacement has been happy with it, and it's been successful. It seems to go much better than, say, back surgeries, which have a huge failure rate. I mean, you've got Tiger Woods and Steve Kerr both having massive back pain issues, multiple surgeries. Those guys obviously can afford the best people in the world, and they really didn't get relief. However, the main thing I wanted to say is chiropractic profession, and I know Susan said once before she's got a very good chiropractic, is wholly different than the allopathic MD system. In the MD system, there's a certain scope of practice and a standard of care. Very few MDs are willing to, and that standard of care typically is, although maybe not in this situation, is to prescribe a drug. That's what they've learned. That's what they're taught. And if they go outside of that, they can be sued. So they're really careful. Now, chiropractic, they have a scope of practice too, but the standard of care just varies widely. There's a like if you go to an MD, in 50 different states, you're pretty much there are exceptions now because things are changing, but you're pretty much getting the same approach with every MD you see. Chiropractic is not like that. Conservatively, there's probably at least 35 different chiropractic techniques, and many more than that are actually used because you've got practitioners that have been practicing for years who have developed their own techniques that's not even known by anyone else, or they've melded other techniques together over the years. So I know you said that you've got a very good chiropractor, and this is a little bit of a PSA for anyone listening. If you don't get results from the first chiropractor you see, or sometimes even people say, oh, I got worse, or, I don't like that cracking. There are so many techniques out there that don't do any kind of, heavy force, cracking sort of adjustment, light touch, like very light touch. And those techniques can get results too. That's called tonal. Some of those are called tonal techniques as opposed to structural or osseous techniques, which is what more people are familiar with. And actually, tonal is what chiropractic was founded on by D.B. Palmer, the founder. And it just kind of got changed over the years. So I would encourage people to try another chiropractor if they don't get results, because they, by and large, they all do something different. There's different schools that have different emphasis. Some don't get any philosophy. Some get a lot of philosophy. It's really worth seeking out another person. I know there's going to be expense involved, but it's almost like getting a second opinion from an MD, because they have a different approach than, typically they will have a different approach than the first person you saw. And I can't remember the woman's name, Carrie. She comes to your support group. She lives in
Carrie Lee.
Yeah, she's the one that lives in. Does she live in Cary, Illinois?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So she was on and talking about a chiropractor I was curious about, who does all this great emotional work. And actually, the guy who developed it is right here in Toronto. And the chiropractor that she sees is in Elgin, and I've actually been to his office a couple times. They do all kinds of amazing things that you would never think a chiropractor does. I mean, there's so many things out there, but it's not easy to, finding a good chiropractor is like finding a good mechanic. It's worth its weight in gold, but it's not that easy. So the best approach is to talk to people, ask for people's opinions, call the office, see what their approach is, see if they think they can help you. None of that really should cost anything. But like I said, the hip surgeries, what I've heard from people, have been very good. That may be all you need. There may not be a true underlying emotional component, but it's worth exploring. And if there is, and it's manifesting right now in the hip pain, and if you don't deal with it, kind of like, all the upsets that we have to deal with, using the worksheets, it's likely maybe to manifest itself in another way, if the emotional component isn't addressed. So that's just what I wanted to offer.
Thanks, Don. Yeah, and thanks for your horrifying text this morning.
That's pretty horrifying. Yes, and having worked, at elections in Georgia here a lot as a manager for advanced voting, election day manager, that Dominion system was very, very secure. I was very shocked, not being from the South, and the South sort of having a bit of a stereotype, and being deep in this process. I was shocked at how good the state of Georgia election system is. It's really good and secure, but it's under attack. I mean, it was under attack when the phone call was made looking for 11,803 votes, and it's going to be further under attack with the kind of change that I texted you about. So
maybe that's the hip pain right there. Ooh, I don't know. Anyway, thanks a lot.
Is your hip hurting more as you talk to Don about it?
Actually, it is.
This isn't a joke. I wouldn't joke about your hip pain.
That's okay.
This is an indication right now that it's more emotional than physical. If when you're talking to someone about something that's upsetting to you, the pain is stronger.
All the way down the leg. And I do have a wonderful chiropractor, but I only went about 4 times because it didn't do anything for this. So, just to say, it's not what this show is about exactly.
And yet, it's helpful, and there's somebody in need, and you're getting some input that may help you with your decision. So that's exactly what this show is about. Thank you, Don, for the input and for the support to Susan. Don, if you have the capacity to unmute, can you tell us the name of the chiropractor that Carrie was talking about, or do you remember that?
Yeah, his name is, he's in Elgin, Illinois, which is north. Well, you're there in Crystal Lake, so you know where Elgin is.
I know exactly where it is. It's right down off of I-90 in northern Illinois.
Yeah, so it's, well, there's an older father who started the practice, who may be near retirement. I think he's maybe seeing patients a couple days a week, and whose name is Lester Holes.
That's who I thought you were talking about. Holze.
Correct, and his son is Chris.
Right.
And they do all kinds of really interesting things that you'd be hard pressed to find anyone else in the area do.
Yeah, and many years ago they were starting to do cold laser stuff and things. It's just an example of the various things that they're willing to experiment with and bring to their people. So, all right, thank you so much. That's who I thought you might have been referring to.
Yeah, that's the one.
And I would just echo everything that Don just said about the variation in the chiropractors, and wow, it is, Don said it very well. I'm sure there's some better analogies, but it's like the difference between going to an orchard where they only grow red delicious apples and an orchard where they grow 50 different varieties of apples.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not an exaggeration to say there's at least 50 different types of experience you'll have going to different chiropractors. Go ahead, Sue.
Well, I was just thinking, this is so physical, mechanical. Actually, an X-ray showed bad arthritis, bone on bone. And I'm thinking a chiropractor can pop things and stretch things and push and pull, but I really don't know how that would help this.
Yeah, it may not, right?
Yeah.
It may not. And there's just the clue in the fact that you said it came on all of a sudden, and then you say, as I'm talking to Don about this election thing, it hurts even more.
Yeah.
All right, so those are just clues. It doesn't mean that, it's just emotional.
Yeah.
It does mean there's an emotional component, as Don said.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like to talk
May
to people
jump into the conversation?
Just a minute. I like to talk to people about how the idea is that while my rage or my depression or my ultra high anxiety may not cause my bones to break, but if I've got a broken bone and I sit in those intense negative emotions,
right,
it suppresses my immune system's ability to heal.
The connection, yeah.
If I'm absolutely fine mentally, emotionally, and something occurs in the world that results in me having an injury, blindsided by something, and in that process of getting treatment and recovering from it, if I don't pay attention to my emotional state as I'm going through the physical stuff, I'm missing a huge part in the healing process. Because many people, and I talked about this once before, I was 45 years old and I was playing roller hockey in the men's league, and I had my sons in the roller hockey for the boys league, and my wife at the time was playing roller hockey in the women's league, and everything's going great. And then all of a sudden, I snapped my ankle in half. And it required 3 surgeries before it was completely resolved. And the amount of negative emotional energy that I expended during that period of time was probably responsible for the slow healing. I was beating myself up mentally, thinking, what are you thinking? You're 45 years old. Why are you out there? What if a puck had hit you in the head, or you'd had a neck injury and you couldn't be there for your sons? And what's wrong with this leg? Why isn't it healing better? I was steeped in that stuff because I hadn't learned the reality management worksheet stuff and the, EFT tapping, and I knew NET, but it was, anyway, that was the point I wanted to make. So my emotions didn't cause my ankle to be snapped in half, but my negative emotional state definitely affected my rate and ability to heal.
Good point.
All right. So, Linda, what's your comment or question? We have a few minutes. 4.
Yes, I wanted to support Susan because, Susan, I it probably seems insignificant compared to the hip, but I was struggling with the same kind of questions you have about my cataract surgery. And I have found that where it led me to was how untrusting I am, how untrusting I am of my little child within me. And that's what I think the little child within me is just my ego that has built this persona for itself so it can function in this world. And sometimes it does good things, and sometimes it does not so good things. And it's just a matter of treating it gently and nurturing it like what it never received when I was little. And I came to the realization through the worksheets and the support group and the radio shows and Dr. Tim and Michael and Jeannie that what I needed to do was simply love my little child and trust her and trust the process of life and know that it's all going to be okay. So all of these teachings that I've been exposed to these last 5 years, so it's not about judgment. It's about letting go of my need to be perfect, to do it just right, my letting go of my fear that things are going to go wrong. And I was very fortunate that I just happened by grace and grit to look up this one eye clinic in Eugene, and the particular gentleman who is the specialist of the cataract surgeries is an absolute gem. He's just kind and gentle and positive and encouraging and thorough and everything. And I knew I could just relax in his presence. And then what happened was I was still wrestling with, is this right? Is it going to come out badly? And with my awfulizing tendency, I might be blind, And it was amazing. I just kept asking Ruha, or the inner therapist, or whatever you want to call her, him, it, and to be shown. And I finally said, maybe this is generic and genetic. Generic is a family joke within all of us. And it's ancestral. It's more than I, with my little awareness and my little lifespan in this moment, is going to understand. So how about I just trust? And the surgery, I went in calm. I thought I would be a nervous wreck and scared to death. And I went into the surgery calm, and the doctor came to talk to me before, and I've had now my first day checkup, day after checkup, and he said the surgery was amazing. He was very pleased with the surgery and everything that has resulted. And so it's that letting go. It's like Abraham says, would you like to let go of the oars and just float downstream? So I wanted to share that with you. Not that getting the hip replacement is right or not getting it is right, but just trust little Susan, okay? And trust your inner wisdom, and just trust that you will be shown what's the right thing to do. It's all good.
Thank you,
All right. Well, thank you
Serena.
for that input, and thank you both for your comments. And Doug, I'm going to end the call so that people can switch over and be with Michael and Jeannie. I'll remind us all that we come from love. We're made of the stuff we call love. We actually are love, and everything else is false. Blessings.